Good day and namaste. My name is stepº5. I'm a natural-born psychic, an astrologer, life coach, and I call myself the Sensei of Serious Joy. Serious Joy is a conscious entertainment that could potentially change your life. Each day, you'll receive 7 to 10 inspirational messages per day written just for you. You can receive your messages via text message or email anywhere on Earth with a cell phone or internet reception. If you're out of step with yourself, you feel it. When you're out of step with the world, you really feel it. And most importantly, when you're out of step with your heart, you know it. Well, friend, you don't have to feel out of step any longer. Sign up today and I'll give you the first week of personal sensei service for just 99 cents. You can cancel at any time. If you decide to continue with our service, you'll be charged $19.95 per month. That's less than $5 a week for a 24/7 soul assurance, keeping you in step with yourself and with your universe. I'll walk by your side day after day, 24/7 in your back pocket until you get it right. And I'm serious about that.
Soul Garden. Live, love, be.
From my smartphone to yours, I'm casting love from the Serious Joy Garden Studios in Costa Mesa, California. This is your Wednesday, Namaste Today. Good morning and namaste, and welcome to Namaste Today. I'm your host and spiritual life coach, stepº5. My modality is psychic astrology, and my personal mission is to stand in my heart and help other people into theirs. This webisode is for Wednesday, February 24th, 2016, and today the Great Human Walk has reached Step 5, Pisces. Hello, my friends. Thank you so much for logging in. Such a pleasure to be of soul service, truly. So grateful for everyone who watches, and so grateful for everyone who has sent me their gratitude, whether it was in person at the convention last weekend or commenting on my website at soulgarden.tv or on Facebook, etc. Thank you so much for your gratitude. I accept and receive, and I'm so grateful to be of help to you each day. Well, in the last 24 hours, we might have had a little subtle breakdown and breakthrough. This isn't the most dramatic breakdowns and breakthroughs because we are in the consciousness of Pisces. And if you don't know, Pisces is our I sense state of awareness. Human beings have 12 states of awareness or 12 states of consciousness. One of them is the I sense or psychic state of awareness. And we are driving through that energy and stepping into that energy and awakening to that energy. And in the last 24 hours, you might have had some sort of a wake-up call as to where you spiritually belong or spiritually don't belong. So today I'm predicting things will be a breakthrough day if things were breakdown before. And even if you had breakdown early as this weekend, I'm predicting today will be a breakthrough day. So let's transition to today's vibe, shall we? Partly cloudy and rebalancing is my prediction for today's vibe. That's because the moon is now full into Libra. And today, Step 5 is bringing us into a rebalancing act. It's time to restore balance into our heart. That's really what our mind is looking to do. Now, my heart is thinking about what's best for my soul. Step 5 rules the day. Step 5 Pisces. So Step 5 is I think, and Pisces is, of course, for our soul. What I feel is back and forth all day. Maybe back and forth about things, back and forth about my guilt, maybe back and forth about, stress. And that's the moon in Libra. I'm open to acting on the good frequencies today. That's because Venus is at Step 9 Aquarius, so I'm open to acting on the good frequencies, or I'm open to acting on the good vibrations in kind of a Beach Boys sort of way. And I'm thinking about what's fair today, what's right for my heart. That's because Mercury is at Step 15 Aquarius. So today, what this all comes down to is I'm executing final emotional boundaries and the final emotional structures for my life. So I'm putting in motion the final emotional boundaries. These are the ones that have to stick. These are the ones that cannot change. These are the ones I'm committed to. These final emotional boundaries are based on what flows the easiest and what is most fair for me. For me. I'm already a fair person, so I don't have to worry about being fair to others. And finally, I am learning what I want to manifest on earth. I'm still learning what I want to manifest. I'm still putting it together. So today, your joy question, you choose to accept it, is accept and receive what's fair to you. Accept and receive what is fair to you. And basically, today is a day where your mind has to recognize the truth of what's fair. You may not be able to actually get what's fair today. You might not be able to restore the full balance. But today, our mind needs to accept what's fair to us. We need to accept and receive what's fair. And our mind has to accept and receive this as well. Part of the Pisces energy is to go in the I sense state of awareness. And that allows us to relax all the other states. And that's really the benefit of meditation, is that we go into this I sense state of awareness, and we can, look at from the outside of non-judgment all these other states and restore balance to them. So today, accept and receive what's fair. Allow your mind to recognize the truth. That might be the truth at work, might be the truth in a relationship, might be the truth in a business deal, it might be the truth with your dog. You know what's fair? I really need to eat first. It can be true anywhere. Just don't judge it and allow it. So let's transition now to today's topic. Today's topic is being unholy, spiritual ethics in the architecture of incarnation. Now, when I talk about the architecture of incarnation, I'm referring to this process of us as spiritual beings incarnating on earth. That the process of incarnation itself has built into it values and ethics. And this is all my work with the 11 Steps of Serious Joy, that I have seen that there's actually a pattern, in other words, a sequence of steps or a sequence of cued consciousness that unfolds. And because of this, there is a power structure built within. For instance, step 0 is I protect, so nothing can be valuable if you don't protect it. And step 1 is I love. So love is the number one thing in this architecture of incarnation. So one of the things I've learned about the architecture is that the idea of what unholiness is. What makes one holy and what makes one unholy, so to speak, and is that built into the architecture? And the answer is yes, in my opinion. In essence, if you are unholy, you are not yet whole or not yet aware of all 12 states of awareness. And you are operating from an unwhole perspective. You are asleep, maybe. So in other words, if a person has a foot that is numb and isn't walking, they're not holy in that moment because they're not conscious of their whole being. And so they're not being holy. All right? Let me dive down a little path here that will show you where I'm going. Let's do the 5 o'clock question. Do you feel you are behind in life? Do you feel you are always behind in life? And the follow-up question, well, what determines the right time in life? What determines the right time? So for me, I'll answer the questions. Do I feel I'm behind in life? Well, I used to always feel I was behind in life. I used to always feel I was, I literally was late. I literally felt half empty to things, half not enough energy, always like I should have been here, I should have been there. And so literally I kind of was, born racing out of the womb with my jacket. You know what I mean? Like, I gotta get out of here. Like, I'm behind, I'm late, kind of like the jackrabbit, right? In Alice in Wonderland. I'm late. So I've always felt behind. But then I started to understand the 11 Steps to Serious Joy and the architecture of incarnation. And I also understood my own chart and my own spiritual vibration and frequency. And I began to realize that I was acting from a place of being behind in life, that I always felt behind in life because I was trying to do things before I was whole. So I was being unholy all the time. I was always going out the door with not enough food or not enough energy or not enough sleep. I was always going out with not enough self-compassion. Always going out with one of my 11 states of awareness or 12 states not operating. Usually step 0, I protect. So I was running out the door unholy, right? I was not whole, and as a result, I was always feeling behind. And I realized that this state of being, of not feeling whole, creates symptoms in life like the sense of always being behind. Because you can feel that you are not enough in the present, right now. And if you were beginning from a sense of not whole, not enough, then everything you do from that is that, right? And that's the mirage and the mirage vow. So what determines the right time? In other words, if I'm behind all the time, well, what is the right time? And my answer is, I found in my study with the universe, it's not time to do what you want to do. It's not time to reach out and touch someone until or unless you feel whole. If you don't feel in all 11 steps of integrity, then it's not time. If you're not completely ready, it's not time. That's what I've discovered. And I've discovered in the sense of what will magically happen and come together with universe, law of attraction, yada, yada, yada. So in the 11 steps of serious joy, what I discovered is that each state of awareness awakens in a sequence. That's how it works. It all awakens in a sequence. And this sequence in which the states of awareness awaken is not the sequence that the sun goes around or awakens in the annual transit. So a person must be aware of all these states and then choose to awaken them in the right order in order to be in this whole manifestation zone. That's what I call serious joy, when you can just manifest. Now, that said, to me, it's very scientific, spiritual scientific with the steps. You can literally check the steps, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and see, are you conscious, are you present, are you whole? So there is a scientific way of doing this, and I'm actually going to share this in a meditation coming up, so people I know will ask. Yes, I'll be sharing it. But what I have learned is that energy on Earth must be farmed and protected. In other words, the energy in the day, we're like, I just didn't have the energy to do that. I didn't have the energy to talk to him. I didn't have the energy to try. That energy, okay, we take that for granted. That energy is your spiritual temple inside. That energy is your holiness or not holiness. And the question is are you being holy with yourself, or are you being unholy? Are you throwing yourself out there with one of the 11 or 12 states not activated and conscious and supported? Now, the interesting thing about this is that energy must be held, protected by oneself on their own. Everyone must protect their own energy. Everyone must farm their own energy. And one thing I've noticed looking at God and how God works, this is in my observations of nature and other things, is that God never pressures ever. God never asks basically a tree to bear fruit before it's ready. God never asks an animal to have a child when it's still a child. God never asks for you to sacrifice in order to be whole. Never. Never in nature is that. Therefore, it seems to me that we are not meant to do anything with our energy, and we are not meant to sacrifice our energy until we feel holy. Until we feel holy ourselves, wholly connected to the Holy Spirit, and holy moly, I'm ready to go. Right? So, looking at God, He never pressures. He just loves and waits patiently. And think about that today. He never pressures. He just loves, and He waits patiently. And basically, we operate from a whole perspective. So today, with Step 5 Pisces ruling the day, our mind is looking for what's missing. Our mind is looking probably outside of ourselves for what's missing. The truth is, who did not answer this morning in roll call? Which part of us is not present? Which part of us is not awake? Which part of us is not supported? Which part of us is making us not holy? Which is making us think we might need something outside ourselves to feel whole. And that's not the case if we listen. All right, my friends. I'll just put out this final little thought before we go to the planets, and that is, if nature operates from holism, and that means God brings everything to a holiness before God expects it to procreate or do something, that would also carry down in logic that college debt is unholy. Making someone pay to be alive, like in a hospital, unholy. Because in God's world, you get everything until you're feeling whole. All right, let's transition now to the Zen Den. And welcome to the Zen Den. So let's take 3 breaths and connect. Okay, and I just want to say that I am now creating a firewall of love between you and me. And I mean that in the sense of I really want to be able to send some love and messages directly to my clients. A lot of my clients get energy. I come in dreams. A lot of times I telepathically kind of pop in people's heads. I think this is kind of a cool thing. And I just want to say that if you love me, I love you. I'm putting a firewall between us in a Barney sort of way. I love me. So today our affirmation to help us stay in the light is: I accept and receive today what it takes to feel whole. I accept and receive today what it takes to feel whole. And by accept and receive, I just mean I'm letting it in my mind. I'm not fighting it. I'm just honoring whatever it is. We don't know what we're doing with it yet. That's another step. We don't know what the consequences are. That's another step. I just accept and receive what it takes to feel whole. That information. And so it is. Because I said so, I thought so. So I want to put out there for those who are watched over my personal Sensei network that I have this new feature I'm launching as of today, which is called Your Daily Eye Candy. At 3 p.m., I'm going to always program a piece of eye candy. In other words, something that you should know about yourself that will just be yummy, yummy, yummy. All right? I've done this before, but now that everything is worked out, the bugs in our system, I'm excited, knock on wood, knock on wood, that I'm going to go ahead and launch this now. So look for your eye candy at 3 p.m. And today, your eye candy will be your natural born step number. So my AIT technology will basically determine what your step number is, which is based on your degree in your natal chart. And I'll talk about what it takes for you to feel whole based on your step number. Some people, for instance, mine is 18, which means I don't really feel whole till step 18, okay? And I go into that process. But there's shortcuts and whatnot, and I'll be training you, of course. So look for your eye candy at 3 p.m. So let's take a look at the overhead projector and see what the planets are doing. Now today, the sun is at step 5. Step 5 is I think. And so our mind is the active state of awareness in the pool of Pisces. That's kind of how it works. So our mind is active in the pool of Pisces. Our mind is active in the pool of eye sense. So our mind is active in our eye sensory perception. Now, a lot of people sleep a lot during this time of year. A lot of people are spaced out. A lot of people go drinking and escaping. Okay, these are all common traits because we're trying to be conscious of what is subconscious or in our eye sense state of awareness. Now, making things even more blurry, it's important to note now that we are within a 4-degree orb, okay, a step 4-degree orb of Neptune. Neptune is the papa bear of Pisces. Neptune is the tuning planet that tells us where the entire Pisces state of awareness is. And the entire Pisces state of awareness is at the I act, I am state. So Pisces are becoming aware of ego. I'm not surprised. It's their birthday. Right? This also means we're all becoming aware of spiritual action. Remember yesterday I talked about taking action? This is part of where I got it from, step 9. That's God telling me, hey, time to act on what you know spiritually, everything in these lower degrees. So because there is a what I call step differential, that is the difference between the two steps is the step differential. The difference between the two steps today is basically belonging. In other words, you will be able to connect to your spiritual mission when you understand where you belong today. And that's part of what the mind, I think, is figuring out. We have some loud helicopters going over today. Now, Venus is bringing out some more 9s. Venus is I receive, step 6. So what are we open to? So in the open, when I say I'm open to, I'm pointing out Venus there, by the way. Venus is in step 9 of Aquarius, which means we're opening to the frequencies, we're opening to the vibrations that we want to frequent. And 9 means it's time to act and do it. So it's time to go ahead and open up to what you want. In other words, go ahead and jump down the rabbit hole if you're going to fall, if you're Alice in Wonderland today, I guess. Now, our mind is on a purebred step 14, which adds to a 5. It's going to actually move to 15 here during the course of the day. But what is that? Our mind is on where we belong, the 4. So we're trying to figure out where we belong. Of course, this is 14-degree Aquarius, so this is where we belong frequenting, where we belong in our vibration. What kind of vibration do we belong in? So although we're sloshing through Pisces back and forth in the psychic eye sense state of awareness right now, although we're kind of out here in the clouds, our mind is trying to determine where we belong frequenting and open up to it right now. All right? So going back to yesterday, Mars, okay, I'm going to reinforce this. Mars is saying it's time that Mars is pushing, right? I act, I am, enforcing the spiritual boundaries today. That's going to move to step 26 later, by the way, which means we'll be ready to commit to the right boundaries. So these are emotional boundaries, these are spiritual boundaries. The point here is sometimes you can't figure this stuff out if the boundaries aren't in play. In other words, if you don't say to God, universe, okay, here's the deal. I don't want to die. I don't want anything stupid. I don't want to be a martyr. I don't want to and in all that, go for it. You know what I mean? Like, and that's how it kind of works. So Spirit is saying we must be certain of what our limits are and hold to the limits. Holding to the limits will kind of keep everything in check. Then finally, the planet that came to mind, by the way, was Jupiter. I don't know if you guys got it with me, but Spirit reminded me about Jupiter. Notice the 9 there and the 19, right? So we got a lot of 9s going on here. Neptune at 9, right? Actually, Uranus at step 18 adds to a 9. We're really building the beginning of our new ego for the year is what these 9s are. But Jupiter 19 means that we are looking at what we want to manifest. We're learning what we want to manifest on Earth and what we want to act on and what we want to put into action to manifest. So this is retrograde, which means we're still, we're going back, we're redoing. It might not be what we started with, but we are considering what we're going to produce in the future. Even though we might be taking 2 steps back, we're thinking to go 3 or 4 steps forward. Okay, I think that's all for today. So grateful to be of soul service with you, my friends. So my little news is I will be in LA for the next 4 to 6 weeks. If you are a light walker and you have something to share with me, now would be a good time to share it with me. That is, if you live in the Los Angeles area. So email us at help@soulgarden.tv if you have something to share. I want to start bringing important light walker information to the planet and being of soul service right now as things start to accelerate. People have asked what I'm doing. I'm actually building our first smartphone application, which is a spin-off of our Serious Joy Personal Sensei service. So it's very exciting and thrilling, and I'm putting off my tour probably until May. So reach out. All right, friends, I love you so much. I'm so grateful for you. Have a great and fantastic day. Remember, I love you, and live, love, be.